Hey fam, it's Lex. As you can see, I'm not in my car. I'm actually in my room where I spend a good bit of time. And it's kind of nice, actually. I don't have as much reason to drive, so I'm going to kind of switch the scenery. But it's kind of nice because I'm able to stand up and move around a little bit. So just want to get that out of the way. I want to talk a little bit about the unwitnessed work. And I'll explain to you what I mean by that. I've undergone a lot of transformation in the last 2 years, significantly more probably in the last year, let's say year and a half. And a lot of times when people ask me about that, when they want to talk to me about that, it's like, well, what did you do? Well, how did you do it? Well, oh my, I could never do that. I could never do that, whatever. And I think it's because we think of changes as being big leaps, but that's not how change works. Change works in tiny incremental steps. It's those little tiny bits a day. And if I were to take a picture of myself every single day and I were to show you the progression, you probably couldn't really tell the difference over time, like I couldn't when I'm looking in the mirror at myself. I didn't think I looked that different until I was able to look back at a year ago and say, wow, I've really changed a lot. But it's those tiny incremental differences. It's those tiny choices. It's those moment by moment checking in with yourself. Am I making decisions that are moving me toward that goal? It's those little things. It's those little things that people will never see. That's the kind of discipline that it takes to evoke large-scale changes. It's not giant leaps. They're little itty-bitty steps along the path, and more often than not, it's going to be the stuff that people never see. It's going to be you waking up at, say, 6 a.m. because that's the only free time that you have, and saying, you know what, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I don't feel like getting up, I don't feel like moving, I wish I could sleep 5 more minutes, I'd rather do this, I'd rather do that, but I'm going to get off my butt, I'm going to put my shoes on, and I'm going to go out, and I'm going to get to the gym, even if I'm only there for 5 minutes, because you know what, when you get 5 minutes in, you're going to stay another 5, and when you get through that 10, you're going to stay another 5, and that's what it's about. It's about those tiny moments that people will never see that lead to the large-scale changes that people begin to notice. And here's what happens. That recognition is nice, right? And people say, wow, I see you doing this, I see you doing that. But you begin to take pride in those small moments, in those small choices. And over time, you begin to develop the discipline that it takes, to change anything in your life. But it's not going to come from those giant leaps, okay? If you're anything like me, if you're the type of person that says, well, I'm going to spend a whole month eating only vegetables, and then somebody brings out a plate of ribs, and you're like, oh, I'm going to eat those ribs. And then you fall off the wagon, and then you decide again tomorrow, I'm only going to eat vegetables. That's probably not going to work. It's probably going to come down to needing to make tiny incremental changes and then having the mental discipline to stick to that decision. Okay, I never thought of myself as a disciplined person. Although if you look at the way I lead my life, I am pretty disciplined, but it's a muscle that I built. It's a muscle that I built over time. 2 years ago, I was looking at myself and I was feeling lazy. I was feeling overweight. I was feeling like I had no energy. I was feeling like I didn't know what I was doing with myself and blah, 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 blah. And then I had to make tiny incremental changes. It was just drinking enough water through the day. And then it was just getting up and moving once or twice a day. I'd be playing with my family and be huffing and puffing after 20 minutes. And it was in those tiny incremental changes, those changes that nobody will ever see, that nobody will ever know that I had that conversation with myself. That's what led to this transformation. You have to get inside of yourself. You have to be able to have those conversations with yourself and ask yourself, is where you want to be more important than what you want to do right now and in this moment? And can you sacrifice that immediate satisfaction for that long-term gain? I absolutely believe you can, but it comes in those tiny little decisions that nobody's ever going to see, nobody's ever going to hear, nobody's ever going to pat you on the back for it except for you. And when you look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and you know that you've made a series of choices that have helped you move in the direction of the life that you want to live, you get to pat yourself on the back. You get to go to bed feeling good about yourself. You get to go to bed saying, you know what? I like me. And that That's the biggest win. Doesn't matter how much weight you lose, doesn't matter how much money you make, doesn't matter, what kind of whatever you're doing in your relationships or your friendships or your career or whatever it is. That, the satisfaction of being able to look yourself in the eye and tell yourself that you're proud of you, that is something that no one can give you but you. It's going to take those tiny incremental changes. It's sacrificing that short-term immediate satisfaction for long-term satisfaction. You can do it. Get started right now.